Dedrick DeWalt. Dedrick DeWalt. Dedrick DeWalt across midfield.
Shout outs to you, man. Like, tell me, let me give you flowers first and foremost, man. Boston College, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Wide receiver, correct?
That is correct.
First off, tell me about Boston College, like how that all worked out.
It's one of the better experiences I had in my life. You know what I mean? Coming out of Simeon, had some decent, pretty offers, but Boston College pretty much every other school that recruited me wanted me to play defensive back. You know what I mean? 'Cause me coming out of high school, I was really good at defensive back as well as receiver, but a lot of colleges wanted me to play defensive back. But my heart was really playing receiver, and Boston College was one of the few D1 schools that really afforded me the opportunity to play wide receiver. So that's how I ended up there at Boston College.
What were some of the offers outside of Boston College that you got?
I had Michigan State, Colorado, Illinois State, and Oregon State. Those are my 5 biggest offers. Every school except Boston College
Wanted you to play
recruited
DB.
me as a defensive back. Boston College actually recruited me as an athlete. They really didn't recruit me as a wide receiver, but they recruited me as an athlete, saying that I could do both, defensive back, wide receiver. But I was probably a better defensive back in high school than I probably was a wide receiver. So
Word?
Yeah, so I could probably understand where the other schools was pretty much coming from. Like Nick Saban, as soon as I met with him in Michigan State, you a defensive back, So I was like, nah, I don't want to play defensive back here in the Big Ten. So I'm gonna go to Boston College and play wide receiver in the Big East, and that's what I did.
So you go to Boston College.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Boston College, you play wide receiver,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do you start all 4 years? Like, what are we doing?
I started my sophomore year.
Okay.
I didn't start my freshman year. My coach, Tom O'Brien, he had a big thing about starting freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't start my freshman year. Actually, I was redshirted my freshman year. So doing practices, I was ripping it up on the practice squad and things like that. Then come my sophomore year, I made the starting lineup as a starting wide receiver as well as punt return and kickoff return as well.
Okay. So what are some of your best memories in Boston College playing receiver? Because I know you had some big games.
I did. My biggest memory was playing against the number 2 team in the country, Virginia Tech, and me breaking the Big East record for the longest touchdown caught. Michael Vick was on that team, ranked number 2 in the country. That was the year that they lost to Florida State in the national championship, and I broke a Big East record for the longest touchdown ever in Big East history, and I still hold that record today for a 99-yard touchdown.
That's dope. That's dope. So now we transition, right? So you play. So you start sophomore year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming junior, senior as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you now transition into life outside of Boston College, post college career.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're moving into the NFL. We're trying to get into the NFL. What was that process like? How did that go?
Pretty much, during your junior year, your coaches send in to the NFL your rankings of where you may be. Your projection of where you may be drafted. You know what I mean? So your head coach sending in, and that gets back to you. So around my junior year, I was graded out of maybe a 4th, 5th round pick coming out my junior year. So I was like, I want to kind of improve on that. So I went back to school for my senior year. And that process, man, it was very nerve-wracking at the time because, everything your senior year is riding on how well you play in order for you to make money in the NFL, because at the end of the day, that's kind of the goal of being able to get to the next level in the NFL. You know what I mean? So it was stressful, but I kept my eyes on the prize, man, and I was able to go out there and perform every Saturday to the best of my ability, and that's where it kind of led to for the next level for me.
Yeah. So now you're one of the few who not only have big time college experience as an athlete, but you also have professional experience too. And we're talking about at the highest level.
Yes.
NFL. So take me to your NFL journey.
Well, like I said, I was drafted late 6th round in the 2000 draft by the Tennessee Titans. I was there 2.5 years. My first year and a half, I was there on the practice squad. It was one of the most fulfilling and funnest times of my life, man. You spend the first year being in awe of who you're around. You sitting right next to Eddie George, then Steve McNair, then you have Kevin Dyson, and you just kind of in awe of these guys, and you're picking up little things here and there, and you're watching how these guys work every day. You know what I mean? And it's kind of astounding how hard these guys do work, but they make it look so easy on Sundays because the work is definitely put in. You know what I mean? And But it was a real joy for me, man, to get to learn from those guys, then to get to try to hone those skills and try to make yourself as a better receiver.
Now, I want to touch on that, right? Because you being a 6th-round draft pick, Tennessee Titans. So at this point, you're a professional athlete. You're NFL, you're an athlete of the highest order. What was the main difference you saw between college play and NFL play?
Speed. In college, it's coming from high school to college. It's a level in speed. It's a level in athlete. It's a level in speed. But you times that times 20 when you get to the NFL. Like, in college, you may have a 6'4" linebacker that's running 4'6", 4'7", right? You get to the NFL, you might have a 6'4", 265-pound linebacker that's running a 4'4", 4'3". So as a receiver that's running 4'4", 4'5", you have a 6'4" linebacker that can literally run with you downfield, stride for stride. You know what I mean? He probably can't do all the quick cuts that you probably be able to do as a skill guy. But imagine that type of speed, that size, smacking across you every day. So they're bigger, faster, and stronger. And that's the biggest difference between college and the pros. Because in college, you're playing with other kids. Pros, you're playing with grown men that have something to lose. Them not making their job, it prohibits them from being able to feed their family. And that's the biggest difference. Now
let's talk about post Tennessee, right? So how long were you say you were with the Titans for 2 years?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. So what happens after that?
I got cut from Tennessee. Then the St. Louis Rams picked me up and put me on their practice squad. I was on their practice squad for the remainder of the year. Then after that year, I was cut from the St. Louis Rams. Then I was signed with the New York Jets. Upon me being signed with the New York Jets, they was going to send me over to NFL Europe.
Okay.
And up on them sending me to the NFL Europe, NFL Europe closed.
Yeah.
So there was no more NFL Europe, and then from there, I really had no more opportunities to play in the NFL from there.
But being there, right? Can you tell me about just the overall experience of just being in these different locker rooms, mingling with these different players, these different coaches, things of that nature?
I think for me, what I will always be able to say, like when it comes to the game of football, I can always say, at one point in life, I was the best in the world at what I wanted to do. I can literally look at a football game and say at one point in my life, from 2000 to 2003, I was one of the best football players in the whole country, the whole world. And that's what something that, I didn't play as long as I would have liked. But I did. I was able to get some experiences that some others probably would never be able to get. You know what I mean? And for that, it was just like, whenever you set your goal out to do something and you accomplish that goal, I mean, there's nothing more gratifying than that.
And this is what I was talking about when I was I did a show with Jeremy Reichert, Peanut from Flag, and he went to Eastern, walked on to Eastern, he's catching passes from Jimmy G at Eastern, you know what I mean? And I just, I feel like guys like you guys, who went through those trials and tribulations just trying to get to where you need to get, I feel like you guys deserve your flowers, because I think too often we as casual fans or we as fans in general say like, oh, well, I never heard of him, or I've never seen this guy, with things of that nature. You don't even know that this dude at some point was a somebody. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to play at not just the pro level, but shit, we talking about a D1 level football, level football. Everybody doesn't get a chance, especially from the city of Chicago, to get a chance to play D1 level football. So I think what I want to ask you is, what would be your vote, or should I say your dialogue of confidence for these young athletes today who possibly want to do what you do? Because there's probably some kids out here who have the opportunity to be a great D1 athlete, and they probably won't get that chance due to whatever, ulterior motives. So what would you tell them? Because I'm pretty sure you went through some hardships to even get where you had to get in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't, my father wasn't around, you know what I mean? Like, it was just pretty much I leaned on my mother and my coaches to kind of get me through the process. So what I would tell these younger guys, these younger kids today, man, just set some goals and be committed to your goals and be able to take coaching. And don't take everything personal. And that's just me being a head coach today. You know what I mean? Like, I tell my kids all the time, when I stop coaching you, be worried. If I continue to coach you, I see something in you. And I think anybody that coaches any type of sport would kind of agree with that sentiment. But for me to, just the advice, just man, look, just set your goals. Don't give up on your goals. It's going to be trials and tribulations, but you got to keep your mind focused and set on your goals. And be able to take coaching, be able to seek advice, be able to go and watch your favorite players play. You know what I mean? And be able to, and the biggest key, you can't cheat hard work, man. You can't cheat it. And hard work doesn't come when somebody's watching you. Hard work comes when nobody is watching and you're doing it by yourself. And I think in today's generation, man, we live in such a sensitive society where, you know, coaches can't really be coaches no more because you gotta watch what you say to people nowadays. You can't really coach people hard nowadays. And a lot of things today are coming from the athlete themselves. You know what I mean? Because they can't really get the coaching that I received. You know what I'm saying? The hard-nosed, tough love coaching that I received coming up that prepared me to go to a D1 program and be able to excel because I went through the trials and tribulations in high school because I had hard-nosed coaches. That's why you see so many kids in colleges nowadays transfer. They're in the transfer portal, and I guarantee you 50% of that is because they just don't like the way a coach talks to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I'm telling you, like, it's not all because they're not talented or they're not really playing here. It's because they're not getting their way. They don't like the way a coach talks to them, or a coach is pushing them too hard to be great. So they figure like they're just going to jump onto the next ship. And I think that's, you kind of seeing that now with this transfer portal. But, you know, overall, just set goals. Set goals for yourself. Work hard to go get them. And be able to take coaching. And don't take coaching personal.
I want to thank you for coming on to the Players Pit. This exclusive one-on-one interview that we're going to start doing, man.
Yes,
like I said, man, y'all never know who you talking to on the pit, man. You never know who you talking to, man. Appreciate you.
All right, no problem, man. Appreciate you.
All right.